Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mohita and I make food and book related videos on this channel. And yes, the bottommost shelf of my bookshelf has some groceries in it. It's just one of the things that the lockdown has done to me. I do not have enough space for all the groceries that I've bought, so I ended up utilizing my bookshelf. In short, the bottommost shelf of that book is already booked, but not by books. This was my dad's joke, which was funny when he cracked it 5 days ago, but it's not funny anymore. Now that we have addressed the first elephant in the room, let us move on to addressing the second elephant in the room. That is, why does it look like I'm trying to be a newsreader? I am not. I am stiff today because I have sprained my neck really badly. So this is like the only range of movement that my body can afford right now without me wincing. And ironically, today I'm going to share a list of feel-good books, and I'm feeling anything but. And now that the unnecessary preamble about me and my bookshelf is over, let me give you an unnecessary preamble about the books that I am going to talk about. The books that I am going to recommend today are the books that made me personally feel hopeful. They lifted my spirits up, and I think they could come really handy for all of you too, especially right now when we are locked inside our houses and when we are feeling like there is no light at the end of the tunnel right now. So without further ado, let's get into the list of books. The very first book that I want to suggest is by Candace Cameron Bure, that is DJ from Full House. Yep, I recently rediscovered her on Instagram and I instantaneously fell in love with her and her personality. After further digging, I found out she also writes books, so I picked up one of her books, which is called Kind is the New Classy. This was one of the first books that I read in the beginning of 2020, and it filled my heart with so much joy. I know my face doesn't look like it filled my heart with joy, but back then it really did. Plus, I actually listened to the audiobook. I did not read this book, and in my opinion, that enhanced the experience, that enhanced the message that Candace Cameron Bure was trying to tell all of us. One thing you might want to note here though is that it does have a little bit of religious perspective. So I personally fast forwarded those parts that were not relatable to me on an individual level, but that does not in any way interfere with the message that she is trying to send. Candace's worldview kind of resonated with mine. The book is also very simple to understand, and Candace Cameron Bure's voice delivery is full of conviction and just at the end of the day very kind and assuring. And same goes for the text of the book as well. There is no aggression, there is no enforcing, there's just a feel-good vibe throughout the book that helps you understand yourself a little better, helps you deal with aggravating situations a little better. And the title of the book pretty much sums up what the book is about. It is definitely worth a try, especially if you are in a position where you're frustrated right now, you don't know how to deal with unfair people, you don't know how to deal with people who have mistreated you, and if you have unknowingly mistreated others. As for me, my experience with this book was profound. At the end of this book, I ended up reaching out to an estranged friend. I ended up telling her I missed her, and after ages, I finally managed to set aside my ego and give our friendship a chance once again. I don't think any book has made me feel this way. I don't think any book has actually propelled me into action like such. So I actually could say that this is one of those books that changed my life, and for the better. The second book that I want to suggest is a classic. This one is called Heidi, and I'm pretty sure that most of you know about this book. If you haven't heard of this book, you must have at least seen the anime that used to come on television a long time ago. So you might have a general idea of what this book is about. The main story surrounds this little girl called Heidi, who is sent away on these mountains to live with her grumpy, strict grandfather. And slowly she makes her way into his heart, and not only him, but even the rest of the townspeople come to depend on her, rely on her for her bright personality and her wonderful view towards life and her innocence. I imagine this is also a kind of book that parents could read out to their children. The third book that I want to suggest is also a classic, and it is also in many ways similar to Heidi. This one is called Anne of Green Gables. This is yet another bright and hopeful book. This book follows the story of Anne, who is an orphan and who accidentally gets sent to a house where two siblings live. At first, they are taken aback by her personality, this chirpy, bubbly, excessively talkative, excessively imaginative girl. But eventually they start finding her endearing, and she again makes her way into the hearts of many people in her very quirky and unconventional ways. She's also a tad bit annoying, a tad bit too confident about what she believes in, and she finds every little thing that she lays her eyes on fascinating, right from the sky to a droplet of water. Anne of Green Gables is also another book that will lift your spirits up, and you will be chortling and chuckling all the way through the book. The fourth book I want to suggest is quite different from any that I've suggested before. The genre of this book is sci-fi, and this one is called Ready Player One. It is also made into a movie, and the movie is also equally fun. Now, if you are a pop culture enthusiast, if you are an anime lover, manga lover, if you like comic books, then you will have a gala time through this book. This book follows the classic trope of a hero's journey. It also follows a regular story arc where things are not really great at the beginning of the book, but it definitely has a happy ending. The premise of this book is that the world has reached an apocalypse. I don't remember this well, but I think the book is set in the 22nd century. Nothing good is left in the world. There is starvation, people are poverty ridden, there are no good jobs, and people are turning against one another. And to top it all, there is only this one big evil corporation that runs this apocalyptic world for its own benefits. There is one escape though for the people of this world, and that is this virtual reality game called the Oasis, where anybody can be whatever they want to be. Now, the owner of this virtual reality game has long passed away, but he has left a quest for the people who play it, and the one that cracks the quest inherits everything that the owner of the game has, including the game itself. And from there on, the adventure begins. We also see a lot of online friendship and how people are not what they seem, and how everybody comes together to stand up against one mighty villain. The next book that I want to recommend is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. The book follows the story of this underconfident girl who begins college. She has a twin, and she has been with her twin throughout high school, but now they are separated, and she kind of starts having this identity crisis without her twin around with her 24/7. There is one thing that she deeply cares about, and that is writing this fan fiction, and her fan fiction is actually quite famous, but people just don't know that it's her who is writing it. She also finds it hard to make friends too easily, and she's not your typical college girl who loves to party and who loves to stay up late at night or drink and dance, so it kind of is difficult for her to fit in. It is another sweet novel at the end of which you will emerge a happier person. The last book I want to suggest for today is for the advanced readers out there. This book is called Once Upon a River. It is written by Diane Setterfield. I actually listened to the audiobook of this one, and thank God I did, because the narrator is simply superb. This is a multi-character, multi-perspective book. This is also a lengthy book. The runtime of this audiobook was at least 15 hours, if I remember correctly. The premise of this book is also quite unique. So this is set in a small town in England, where the book opens at this one nightclub. And on one such evening where the patrons of this nightclub are having their usual nighttime routine, a badly wounded man comes up with a dead-looking child in his arms. Immediately, a doctor is rushed in, and she declares the child to be dead, except that after about half an hour, the child wakes up, and from there on the adventure begins. There are also a few elements of magical realism, a little bit of supernatural elements in this book, but this book is set in the 18th century, so there is a probable explanation for all these supernatural events happening. But that is not the central point of this book. In fact, there is no one storyline or no one protagonist to this book. There are multiple plots and subplots, and they are interwoven together, but you kind of have this hunch that these multiple characters are somehow going to connect at the end, and the connection point is probably this mysterious girl. The writing is atmospheric, it is character driven, it explores emotions very beautifully. It has pretty much everything: the relationship between a father and son, the relationship between a wife and husband, the relationship between a doctor and patient, and even the relationship between just a kind-hearted stranger and an abused child. I had tears and goosebumps and shivers during multiple points in this book. This book is kind of a reflection of the society at large, with multiple elements at play, some passive, some active, some evil, some good, and it captures how the world functions in a nutshell very well. The writing is deep, beautiful, and poignant. This was one of my top favorite books of last year, and if you are looking for something new and deep, this is a wonderful story to read. And that's it. With that, my list of feel-good books is over. I hope you had fun watching this video. Let me know in the comments below which book you want to pick up first, and if you have already read any of these books, and if you enjoyed them or did not like them so much. I will see you again with yet another book-related video next week. Until next time, bye!